You walk into a room and nobody notices. You speak up in meetings and your ideas get ignored. You try to join conversations and somehow become invisible. Sound familiar? Meanwhile, there's always that one person who barely says a word, yet everyone hangs on their every gesture. What do they know that you don't? Here's what nobody tells you about respect. It's not earned through words. It's not won by being the smartest person in the room. It's not even about being the loudest or most charismatic. Respect is commanded through something far more subtle and infinitely more powerful: your ability to be comfortable with nothingness. Think about every truly magnetic person you've ever encountered. The boss who makes decisions without breaking a sweat. The friend everyone seeks advice from. The stranger at a party who draws people in without saying much. What do they all share? They're not afraid of empty space. They don't scramble to fill every gap in conversation. They don't fidget when others are talking. They exist in their own gravitational field, and others naturally orbit around them. This is the opposite of what most people do. Most people are terrified of being overlooked, so they overcompensate. They interrupt others mid-sentence. They laugh too loudly at mediocre jokes. They volunteer unnecessary information about themselves. They agree with everything, hoping to be liked. They turn themselves into human entertainment systems, desperately performing for scraps of attention. But here's the brutal reality. The harder you try to be noticed, the less noticeable you become. The more you seek approval, the less valuable you appear. It's like chasing someone who's running away from you. The very act of chasing pushes them further away. People instinctively categorize you as needy, as someone who requires their validation to feel whole. Now imagine a different approach. Picture someone who enters a room without scanning for reactions, who listens to others speak without preparing their response, who can sit in complete silence without their body screaming discomfort, who responds to questions thoughtfully rather than reactively. This person operates from a different frequency entirely. When you're not desperate for attention, you become magnetic. When you're not afraid of being ignored, you become impossible to ignore. It's counterintuitive, but it's how human psychology actually works. We chase what retreats from us. We value what doesn't need our approval. We respect what doesn't beg for our respect. The secret weapon here is something I call strategic stillness. It's not about being rude or antisocial. It's about understanding that your presence speaks before your words do. Every movement you make, every reaction you give, every second of silence you allow tells others how to treat you. When someone asks you a question, instead of blurting out the first thing that comes to mind, take a breath. Let your brain catch up. Give yourself permission to think before speaking. That small pause does something powerful. It forces the other person to wait for you. It positions you as someone whose thoughts are worth waiting for.
In group conversations, resist the urge to jump in the moment someone stops talking. Let the silence exist for a moment. Watch what happens. Others will start to look at you, wondering what you're thinking. They'll begin to value your input more because you're not throwing it around carelessly. This extends beyond conversation into your entire physical presence. Walk slower than your impulses tell you to. Sit back in your chair instead of leaning forward desperately. Keep your hands still instead of gesturing wildly. Make eye contact without darting your gaze around the room like a scared animal checking for predators. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Every time you resist the urge to react immediately, you're demonstrating self-control. Every time you allow silence without panicking, you're showing emotional strength. Every time you move deliberately instead of frantically, you're projecting inner confidence. These signals register in other people's subconscious minds as markers of high status. But this isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about genuine self-possession. When you're truly comfortable with yourself, you don't need constant external validation. You can exist peacefully in your own space without requiring others to fill it for you. This inner calm translates into outer magnetism. The hardest part is fighting your nervous system. Your brain has been trained since childhood to seek approval, to avoid awkwardness, to keep others happy. When you start practicing strategic stillness, every fiber of your being will scream at you to go back to performing. You'll feel like you're being rude, boring, or antisocial. Push through it. These feelings are just old programming trying to keep you small.
Start with small experiments. Next time someone tells a joke that isn't funny, don't force a laugh. Just smile calmly.
When someone asks for your opinion, pause for 3 seconds before answering. When you're walking somewhere, slow down by 10%. When you're listening to someone speak, truly listen instead of planning your response. Notice how differently people treat you when you're not chasing their approval. Watch how conversations flow when you're not desperately trying to steer them. Observe how much more weight your words carry when you use fewer of them. The most powerful people throughout history understood this principle. They spoke slowly and sparingly. They moved with intention. They weren't afraid of being misunderstood or temporarily disliked. They knew that respect comes not from what you say, but from who you are when you're saying nothing at all. Your silence becomes a canvas upon which others project their curiosity. Your stillness becomes a foundation that makes others feel grounded. Your thoughtful responses become treasured because they're rare. You stop being background noise and start becoming the quiet force that shapes the entire dynamic of every room you enter. This isn't about becoming cold or distant, it's about becoming grounded. It's the difference between a tree that sways frantically in every breeze and one that stands firmly rooted, providing shelter for others. Which one commands more respect? So, here's your challenge. For the next week, practice strategic stillness. Before you speak, pause. Before you move, breathe. Before you react, think. Stop trying so hard to be liked and start focusing on being respected. The results will speak for themselves, even when you don't.